All right, so you want to do some modding. You're very new into the game, and you've done the mod tutorial with Teshin, but it's still confusing, right? So let's do some modding basics. You do get this weapon when you do that tutorial. Before you probably had like I think the Bratton or the Paris that you started with. You have your Lado and your throwing knives, and you also have your bow or your Skana as melee, and your Warframe, whatever you choose. You chose at the beginning, or if you purchased a Warframe, you might not have a companion yet. The first one you could probably build is when you do the Kubro quest, right? So this is not a Kubra. This is from a planet that you unlock where you can get these ammo. I think it's the same modding, but I just wanted to show like no reactor or catalyst. And if you don't know what that means, there's something in the game called an Orkin reactor or an Orkin catalyst. Reactors double your mod capacity, so from 30 to 60, so you can put more mods on for companions and warframes, and the catalyst doubles your your weapons. So this one already comes with a catalyst after you finish the quest. But if I wanted to double the capacity of this secondary weapon, you install a catalyst, right? So, and you see these symbols right here on each of your mod slots. These are your polarities. Basically, if you slot something in from with a different polarity, it drains more of your capacity. If you slot something in that is the same polarity, it drains less. Right? It cuts it in half, basically. And if it's an odd number, it'll round up to the next number. So if this were 16, it would cut it to 8. 15, it rounds it to 8. Which I think it should round down, but, that's my mindset. See, so if you put something in that's a drain that's 16, it cuts to 8. That way it gives you more capacity to mod for more. And to install all of these wonderful mods that you're going to get as you progress through the game. So I know you probably watched a couple Warframe videos before even trying the game out. And you see a lot of veteran players just modding crazy with stuff that you will probably not get for dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours, right? Because some of the mods are locked behind a certain vendor that you will meet. So you just have to wait, or you could purchase it with the in-game currency, which is known as platinum, right? Whenever you unlock trading with the community. But we're not going to dive into that. That's a whole different topic altogether. So let's start off with some of the basics. I know the quest teaches you that if you mix two elements together, you get a different element, right? So let's go all the way down. So say you have, let's see, going for some of the elements right here. I just want to see where I could show you. Well, we'll start with the ones. First of all, as you progress through the game, you're going to get a resource called Endo, where if you take it to your mod screen or the segment in your ship, you can upgrade your mods using Endo, right, to the max. As you upgrade each pip, it goes up double, double, double. Um, so they all come unranked until you juice them up all the way. So here is like an unranked electric mod that you'll get early in the game, unranked toxin mod, unranked heat mod, um, and the cool mod is I don't even, I probably sold all. Oh no, it's right here. So your unranked coal mod, right? As you progress through the game, you're going to get mods that are referred to as 60/60 mods. So what that means is they are cheap, right? They're only 7 drain. They give you 60% of the element and 60% status chance, which is very good. Um, it's very good because it boosts your status chance, right? Per mod that you put on. So if you are modding for, let's say, corrosive, right? Corrosive is electric and toxin put together. With these two mods, it's only a 14 drain. If you were to use the 90% toxin mod that doesn't give you a status chance boost, um, it's 22 drain, right? So a lot of players will rather do this unless, of course, the weapon itself has very low status chance. So you just want raw damage coming from that weapon. But a lot of weapons are hybrid or status weighted. So you actually want more status chance, right? So this means, right, in layman's terms, 79.2% chance of proccing each status that's on the weapon, right? So as you can tell, this weapon right here has what we call IPS, which is impact, puncture, slash, and that all has a weight on each damage, right? For this weapon, they are all the same. So you have a 36% chance of proccing one of these, and that breaks it down even further based on the damage that's on the weapon. So if you come to the screen, you now have a 12% chance of proccing puncture, 12% chance of proccing slash, 12% chance of proccing impact. So what that means is roughly every 3 shots, a little bit more, you're going to be proccing one of those. So let me spawn up some enemies. I haven't been in this simulacrum in years. This is the base simulacrum. This is where you can test out your builds if you want. So let's just add, and don't mind all these locked. When I did cross save, it literally wiped my older my older account. I got everything, but I have to redo all of my scans for everything. So, which sucks. Um, oh, let me unpause them. Let me pause them. All right, so let's simulate corrupted heavy gunners. These are some of the tankiest that you'll ever meet. We could spawn their level down to, let's say, let's go to base 30. All right, so, and let's pause them. All right, so one shot. This weapon shoots a burst 3 times, right? Which is pretty nice. Oh, let me take off the companion as well. So when we do all of the testing, you'll kind of see what I mean with the weighting and stuff. So, On this weapon, since you're going to be hitting 3 times, right, because it's a burst weapon, you should be able to proc at least one of those statuses. There we go. We procced impact and slash on that second one. Slashes used to be meta defining. What slash does is it bleeds enemies for a specific duration, right? So you'll see the ticks going 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, right? So 6 seconds of slash damage over time ticks, which is very good, you know? Especially if you just hit them, hit them, hit them, and now you could just go on to the next enemy. You know that this first enemy is going to die from the slash proc, right? So that's the weighting on a non-modded weapon like this, where it's pretty good, right? But as you can tell, you're not really doing much damage. It's going to take a while for one of these level 30 enemies to go down. And level 30 is like reaching almost the end of the star chart. You know, the last couple planets are going to be a little bit beefier. So you really don't want to be out and about with a non-modded weapon by that time, right? So, first things first, you want to increase your damage. There is a specific damage mod, or there's a couple damage mods that you can put on here at the beginning that you'll need to build up with Endo, but don't go overboard, right? So the first one is Serration. This is your first one right here. It comes unranked, right? So Serration right here. Right? It gives you at base plus 15% damage. So you see plus 15% damage, right? That means it's additive to all of your damage types on your weapon. Now we can get into additive damage versus multiplicative damage very quickly. So the true nature of modding for Warframe is that you want to multiply your damage types and not add them, because additive damage brings diminishing returns at a certain point. Whereas if you multiply your damage, right, multiplicatively, you're going to get higher damage numbers to tickle that dopamine itch that you have seeing big numbers on the screen. So you're going to start off with an honoring Serration. You might get some element mods, right, to put on. So let's see. Let's see if I can clear this. All right, so let's put on an element. Maybe you get one of these first. I'm not sure what they give you. Maybe electric. Electric is very good. And, you know, to save some capacity, you could put it in the dash polarity slot. So now you have 4 damage types on your weapon and a little bit of damage. So let's see what electric does on one of these enemies. Immediately when it procs, it's going to trigger the electric status on the enemy, right? When it procs. And when that does, electric is very good in the game now because it ticks immediately for 6 seconds. You don't have a 1 second delay. It just ticks. So you're going to get those electric procs immediate, right? And it's hitting pretty good for level 30 with only those 2 mods on there. Because this is a very tanky enemy at level 30 when you have 2 unranked mods on your weapon. But that's pretty good. Pretty good. But we could do better. As you progress, you're going to get a little bit better mods. Maybe you might get another element mod. So let's put in... Let's say we go for toxin. Now you get corrosive. Right? Your status is still low, but we could always search for status. There is a mod called Rifle Aptitude that you will eventually get, and it boosts your status. So let's boost our status. And now we're working with something, right? You'll also get a mod called Rifle Elementalist way down the line, or you could probably ask in the market politely. Someone will probably give it to you for free. This added benefit of giving you punch through on your weapon, which is very nice for most weapons, because punch through, once it's added, right, your bullets will punch through the enemy, right, and certain terrain. It'll punch through and hit other enemies, which is very nice, right? So now with these 4 unranked, let's see the damage output. So a little bit better. Right? A little bit better. And, you know, when you're proccing puncture or impact, it's one of them. I forgot which one. When you're proccing one of them, it opens up enemies for a mercy kill. You do get something called a Parazon, which you can mod as well, but a Parazon is an item that you have that you can take down enemies for mercy finishers, right? And when you get it, it's right here. Let me see if I have. Okay, so you do get some mods. They are very nice, and they give you specific things based on mercy killings or, you know, just different buffs. So it's a nice tool to have when you're going through the game, and you know, like I said, if you ask politely, you can ask some players, if you do decide to join a clan or an alliance, if they have some extra Parazon mods, and you'll find a couple that will happily just give away mods for you, you know, because we have hundreds, if not thousands, that we just burn and melt down for Ender credits. So, you know, we are happy to just help the community. So yeah, as you progress, you might have a build sort of like this, right? Because you have not formatted yet. So what format is an item, right, where you can now polarize one of your slots with one of the polarizations, you know, and then that way it cuts down on the drain or your capacity as well. So like if I were to put the V polarity here, this would cut it to 8. 8 plus 1, it would give me 9, right? Because this would cut it in half to 8. And then I would have a 9 more capacity to put one more mod here. And then I could format this right here. And then it would give me 6 more. I could put something in the Exilus slot. You know, whether you want, you know, walk around with this mod on to reduce all of your gunfire to 100% where you're very silent playing like a real ninja. Or do you want vigilante supplies whenever you do get this mod from farming thumpers in the plains of Eidolon. And that just gives you a little bit more critical chance from your primary weapons, right? So this basic setup here, I just slapped on where you could see there are quite a bit more multipliers. I do have this mod on here called Galvanized Aptitude whenever you do get the Galvanized mods um, when you progress through the game, or you could buy them in the market for very cheap, 10 platinum, 20 platinum, and farming platinum in this game is very easy. Even in the early game, you could always run relics, crack open a relic, all those prime parts that you're getting for prime weapons and warframes, you could sell them in the market, and then buy what you need as needed. I would suggest buying weapon slots and warframe slots at first. You know, that's the most important thing in this game. Get enough slots where you don't have to be deleting warframes and weapons from your inventory to free up slots. And then, progress as you go. But this basic build, I have this mod on here, which, if you read, it gives you a plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target for 20 seconds. And it stacks up 2 times, right? So, as you can tell, I don't have Serration on this build, right? Instead, I choose for aptitude, which a lot of players, if you're watching videos, they'll call it gun CO, because we do have a mod for melee that's called condition overload. So this condition overload used to be much more powerful than it is. Even with the nerfs that it's gotten over the years, it's still the best thing to slot for melee. And this is probably the best slot, especially if your status is where it's at right here. And yeah, as you can tell, this is giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different types of statuses that I could potentially proc. And you could tell the weighting from the screen right here, right? So um, this is very good, very, very good. If you want, I had a ranked rhyme rounds on here, but you could put a unranked, because you really don't want your viral that much more. You just want it just enough to where, because viral maxes out at 10 stacks of the status, whereas something like heat, right, that you can mod for, that goes to infinity, right? So depending on it's a weird thing. Some statuses only stack up to 10, like blast, um, but some scale to infinity. More statuses for heat, it's more the damage ticks, and the faster an enemy can go down. But you know, that's a whole different video of the nuances of the modding. This one is just covering like your basics. So I just wanted to show you like this regular build. These two, obviously, you won't begin them as a brand new player, um, or these two as well. So let's go back. Let's stick with. Let me see. Let me just put a rank serration on here, and then I want to do viral, because I think viral in the early game is a lot better than what a lot of players think. Right. So just with these mods right here, right? What viral does, it basically halves enemies' health. Well, the increased damage to help up to 325% with multiple stacks, right? But like You'll see it basically it's kind of like halving their health. And then let's slot in heat. So let's just go ahead and put this on here. Right. So there we go. Just these four mods right here. You don't want to increase your critical damage yet or your critical chance with your critical mods, right, that you get. Because you're going to get Point Strike. You're going to get Vital Sense, right? Those are your two main crit chance, crit damage mods until you get Critical Delay running Vaults for corrupted mods. And yeah, I didn't add any fire rate on here, right? But of course, more fire rate that you add onto your weapon, it is a huge DPS increase, you know. So I'll show you how this hits a level 30 heavy gunner versus you putting more fire rate. So yeah. A lot stronger. A lot stronger. And I know the Serration is max ranked that I have on there, but you don't have to, right? Because you don't have enough endo right now to max it out. So just go up to half. Just increase it by 4 ranks or 6 ranks. 6 ranks will take you comfortably to the end of the base star chart. Comfortably, I promise you. You don't have to go all the way. But by the time you reach, one of those final planets, you're gonna have enough endo to at least go 1 rank from the top, and then you should do that. So, but yeah, that's kind of powerful right now, just right that, right? We didn't even increase crit chance. But this weapon, the crit chance is so low and the crit damage is so low that you probably want to just build it into just a status build, right? You don't even want to slot Point Strike yet. If you do, it only goes up to 15%. So I don't think that's worth it for you. Now you can put more status, and more status is always good, right? Because now you're gonna get those heat and viral way faster. And now you're doing some good damage on your enemies as you progress through the game, right? Now, when you progress to your first relay, you're going to find Samaris. It's a Cephalon. And Samaris sells a synthesis scanner. I would recommend scanning every enemy that you have right now until you get the Helios companion, right? Because when you scan, one, it shows you vulnerability of what they're vulnerable to and what they're resistant to. Every enemy in the game, right? And in your codex, it will show you every enemy that you've scanned and unlocked and tell you how to mod for them. Also, on your navigation screen, it will tell you the enemies that are on each node that you go to, their damage vulnerabilities as well. So it's a useful thing as you progress and until you learn the different damage types for each enemy. Because you don't want to go into a node and the enemies are resistant to heat and viral. And then you're like, well, in the last mission that I did, they were like melting and now they're resisting, and it's just due to the damage types, right? Whereas you could slot this around, right? And now you have your heat and your cold combined for blast, and you have toxin, which could be good for certain factions, right? So like if you hit heat and blast on this enemy right here, as you can tell, not heat but a blast and toxin, it's not going down faster than heat and viral would, right? Because what blast does is once it adds up to 10, it'll hit them with a little bit of more little small bombardments. And blast is usually good with raw damage versus status. Toxin is very good because Toxin bypasses shields and hits straight health, so that's very good for like the Corpus faction, right? Anything that doesn't have any shields, this is going to be your element of choice. So yeah, like you play around with your elements, right? And see what works for whatever faction that you're playing against. And like I said, you want to just keep adding your multipliers onto your build, right? You want to just multiply everything until, the multipliers just keep hitting. So, like you can slot this and you can slot point strike. Whoop. So let's just slot point strike and then let's slot vital sense. So now your critical damage multiplier is 3.1, right? What that means that whenever you hit a critical chance hit, right, your multiplier is now 3.1. So now, right, you're hitting pretty good on the multiplier. Obviously, this weapon is a low crit chance weapon, so you're not seeing those yellow crit numbers often. Only 15% of the chance. But it's hitting hard when it does proc, right? So you're like, wow, these numbers are crazy, especially if you have a weapon that has like maybe 50% crit chance or more. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, like these multipliers are amazing. So, that's the very basics of modding. You probably won't even see this arcane slot yet until this is unlocked for you. Arcanes add a lot for um, your multipliers, and it gives you a lot of buffs for everything that you have, your warframes, your weapons, your companions. No, I don't think companions have arcanes yet, but that's an eventuality, right? So, well, that covers your primary. Your melee, secondary is about the same. It just has a little bit different mods. Your melee, especially if you're going with the bow, you're going to be like this. Same um, basic concepts, though, right? You want your damage on there. You want your element multipliers on there. Crit damage, your crit chance. Um, and then you'll have like 2, 3 slots where you could put in attack speed, put in more status, more multipliers. You're gonna run into where you could get faction mods, which a lot of players don't like using. But like, say for instance, this faction mod gives you a 1.55 times damage multiplier. Um, on the faction that you're fighting, and this is very useful when you're going into higher level content, right? To where you could take them down easier. So once you get to that level, you're going to have your loadouts specific for how you want to approach certain missions, especially if you're running a longer mission like Cascade or Survival, where you're going to reach level cap and um, you want to push yourself. So, but for melee, you're going to get pressure point right to start with. So that's your main melee damage. You're going to get your crit damage mod. You're going to get your crit chance mod, which is crap. I forgot. I forgot what the crit chance are. What is that mod called? Because we all use blood rush. Um, crit. Where is it? Oh yeah. True Steel, right? So you're gonna get True Steel to increase your crit chance. Um, so just with these three, is very strong, right? Eventually, you're gonna run into your your stance mods for melee. So these give you different combos and more capacity, right? And you could check the combos and see your combos. So this is pretty good right now. Let's spawn in some enemies and see how this does. Ground finisher? Sure. So melee is pretty good too, like, and I know a lot of players, they say Warframe is more a melee game than a shooting game. That could be the consensus. Um, Melee used to be like the meta. So this weapon right here, the Cadus, has built-in electricity for you, right? So whenever you do get a specific arcane called Melee Influence, that breaks the whole game for Melee, right? It is the most powerful thing you can slot into your melees right now to do the fastest room clearing. Um, what it does is on an electric proc on an enemy, I think like specific percentage, right? So let's see. I'll tell you what this is right here. So 20% chance whenever you hit electric on an enemy, there's a 20% chance that applies to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds. That is a staggering amount of damage. Um, it is a staggering amount of damage. If you want to see what an endgame melee looks like, look at this nonsense. And this is just on level 30s, right? So Right, so melee influence just propped right there. So melee influence literally just, I think it's too powerful. That's my thoughts on that. But you know, that's a whole different video on what's busted or not busted in Warframe. But here we can, you know, mod for, let's say, viral. Let's just do viral. And now you have electric viral with some melee damage, and you want to put some speed on, right? So you have your Fury mod. You don't want to build for crit. Yeah, you don't even have the drain. Don't even waste a catalyst. Oh, and that's another main thing. Don't waste your reactors and catalysts in the early game. I would suggest saving them. Do a little bit of research. Like if you come across a weapon, say on a Twitch drop or like a prime weapon, and that you do like it, use it. On base weapons, no. The most important thing is get their rank up to 30 all the way up, right? And that way you get the full mastery rank from it and go on to the next one and keep building your mastery rank to unlock more weapons until you reach MR16. That way all the weapons are unlocked for you to where you don't have any issues, right? And you know, so from like MR1 to 12, MR1 to 12, you're going to get a few catalysts and reactors, and the game does a pretty good job of like trickling them for you with the Nightwave shop, and when you unlock another Nightwave-esque down the line, I don't want to spoil anything, but you're gonna trickle in reactors and catalysts, and of course you could buy them in the market for 20 platinum. So you could trade, you know, the prime parts that you're farming, and buy them slowly as well. But the game gives you enough weapons when you complete quests with installed catalysts to where you don't have to worry, right? So just by playing the game, you're going to get pre-installed catalysts on some weapons that you're going to get in the game, and some of them are very good. Some of them are very good. So don't stress out on trying to min-max right now at all. Do not. That's gonna throw you off quite a bit, right? So let's see what this melee does now, just with these specific mods in. So much faster, you know, less animations for your melee is always nice. Now you're taking them down very fast, right? You don't have any critical multipliers on here other than what is base. But the viral status is hitting hard. Electric is hitting pretty good. So yeah, very nice to just chew them down. No issues whatsoever. So you know that covers like the basic modding stuff. Like secondary weapons, they have their own names for it, but it's the same premise as primary as well. You know, you want damage, you want your elements, your crit multipliers, faction multipliers if you want to go that way. And yeah, so that's how you're building your weapons, right? You're going to get your companions, taxon early, your dog early, and you can build them. They help a lot, you know. They have some nice specific mods on here. We do have the bond mods now. These are I wouldn't say like new, but they were added in the game to give you like more buffs. When you hit certain things. And these just help you as well. Companions also can hit as well. Like this is probably the strongest sentinel weapon for glass, right? So I could just show you on some level 30s. Yeah. So you build your companions correctly, and they are hitting for tons of damage. With the specific criterias met, your companions could output a lot of damage. But for now, you probably don't even have a companion yet, so don't worry about that too much. Lastly, your frame modding. Now you can build your Warframe however you want, right? However you want. There's a number of mods that you could use. Basically, though, you just want to survive. You want to survive in a mission, right? So of course, your aura. You're going to get all of your aura mods as you progress through the game. Nightwave does carry aura mods, so always use your Nightwave credits to buy your mods that you're not going to get in the game first, and then Nightwave is also a good place to get Vauban, which is a Warframe, and your Catalyst and your Reactor. So, yeah, utilize that a lot. Um, but these give you different buffs on, and it gives you more capacity as well, right? So, and of course, once you polarize anything, you could with a forma you can swap polarities around, um, which is very nice. So, like, say you wanted this here, you could swap both of them, and you could even swap this down and have this with no polarity. So all of these will just give you 7 more capacity. But if you do swap, put in, like, just say you wanted a faster Warframe. So Sprint Boost gives you 15% more speed. You double that to 14, you're going to get that 14 capacity on there. So, the max you could do is with Steel Charge. It's going to get you up to 78, or Power Donation, which will get you up to 78. But 74, right? This is installed with a reactor, as you can tell, but it would be 30 plus 14. You would get 44, right? Without a reactor. 44, you could still build pretty well. This will be locked as well, right? And your slots are always unlocked, so you could always install arcanes. But you can build pretty well on 44 capacity in the early stages, right? So you're going to get your vitality. You're going to get your redirection. Use those a lot. Um, more shield is always good. More shield is always going to be better in the early game than vitality. Both are good though, right? To just keep you alive. Um, but shields more important, because you could, once your shield breaks, you get some iframes to where you could just run away, and then let your shields rebuild, right? So, like, I'll show you right here. Let me spawn in. Let me spawn in one enemy and not pause. So I have 560. Let me take off my companion. That's a little too unfair. So, all right. So spawn in one enemy. say you're going through a mission, you can't take down this enemy, it's hitting you hard, you're falling all over the place, you don't have a way to defend against knockback, it breaks your shield, now you can just run away, run away, run away! Get out of here, right? Now your shields will rebuild. And now you could go back and try to kill again. Die, die! And now you're good, your shield is rebuilding, and you're good to go, right? Whereas if you build for health, you're going to have less shields in the early game. Um, and your shields will be constantly breaking faster. Less time for you to run away. So, very important mod at the start. Obviously, this is 10 pips. That will eat up a lot of endo. Get it to like 5 ranks, 4 ranks, even 6 ranks, and you're very good. Same with vitality as well. And those will keep you alive, right? As you go on, you're going to get intensify. Depending on your abilities, you might want more strength. Depending on your abilities, you might want more range, or more duration, or more efficiency for less energy casting for your abilities, right? So like a frame with Loki, he doesn't need the strength on any of his abilities, really. Like none of them need strength. So you can build into negative strength, right? So there is a mod called Overextended where you could slot in, get a whole bunch of range, right? Plus 90%. But it takes away from your strength, right? And this is a corrupted mod, what I mentioned. You do farm these on Deimos. There are corrupted vaults where you get dragon keys. You can make when you join a clan. You could build those, um, and you could run, say, capture mission over and over again. Find the vault, and one of the corrupted mods will drop for you 100% of the time, which is very good. For one, you need these. Two, you can sell these for 10 to 20 platinum. So it's a good early way to farm platinum, is running for corrupted mods. So farm the ones that you need first, and any extra ones, specifically Blind Rage, Narrow-Minded, Transient Fortitude, and Fleeting Expertise, right? Those 4, and maybe Vile Acceleration for primary weapons, those 5. And Overextended, of course. So those right there will give you a constant drip of platinum selling them. There's always going to be a buyer in the trade market that wants one of those mods. So check Warframe.market for whatever the pricing is. I would honestly try to sell any of those that I mentioned for 20 platinum each. Most times out of not, you will get a buyer. So very good way to start farming up some platinum, buy your weapon and mod slots, and don't buy Forma. You could always farm Forma when you run relics, right? So just buy your slots first until you're comfortable, right? You don't want to be deleting your Warframes that you've spent time on and your weapons, right? This is, after all, a collectible game in my eyes. So you want to just keep everything. And then, yeah, start hoarding some platinum for yourself, and buy your fashion. That's the true end game for this game. You'll get bored at some point, but like fashion will never bore you. You could spend hours just customizing your warframes and your weapons and whatnot to specific patterns, colors. It's a deep rabbit hole that the fashion that this game has. So, build your Warframe how you want, and yeah, there are some nice guides and video guides out there to show you, a direction of certain builds. Just take those with a grain of salt. Um, Tweak them to what you have. Of course, you're going to have a whole bunch of unranked, so just focus on surviving at first, right? Loki is low key, no pun intended, a very good frame for survivability, right? Because he has one of the best abilities, which basically turns him invisible at the press of a button for a duration, right? So, as you can tell, he is now invisible. They cannot hurt you because they cannot see you. And you can just recast. So the more duration you build on Loki, the longer it will last for you. So, recast. He also has a dummy that you can cast right there that will aggro enemies to it, right? And CC them. That way they're focused on the decoy and not you. And then, yeah, very nice frame overall. A lot of players want a rework for Loki, but Loki is a very powerful frame used correctly, So, switch teleport gets you out of some binds, especially with the augment mod. That's something I didn't really talk about, right? So, there is something in the game called augments for your warframes, and certain weapons do have augments, right? You can purchase these um, with whatever syndicates that you join up. They have augment mods, right? So try to balance your syndicates. Max out the standing for your syndicates to get your augments, right? And they help with abilities, right? A lot. So like this one, if you go invisible, you now have noise reduction 100% of the time until your invisibility runs out. Very good. If you're stealthing about, safeguard switch, very nice. You hit teleport, and now you are 6 seconds of where you basically enroll. Well, I can show you what this looks like really quick. So look at the top right, my health and shields. I safeguard switch, and now I am invincible for a duration. That gets you out of a lot of binds. Very nice. So, yeah, play around with your Warframe modding. As you go through the game, it's going to be better. I promise you. If this Warframe is one of the games where the more you play it, and I know I'm a broken record when I say this, the more you play this game, the better it becomes. The more understanding you have of the modding and the nuances, the better it becomes. Right? Until you feel godlike. You literally feel like you're a god going through these missions when you reach that point and you're like, oh my gosh, I am. They can't do anything to me. I am just that. I am him or her or it or they. I am that. I am that, right? I am that person, Mr. Warframe, that goes through the game and just killing. Um, but you're not there yet. You are a baby Tenno, experiencing the joy that I had all those years ago. So keep up with the journey, right? It's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. And have fun. If ever I'm in game, ping me. If you need some mods, I will just give it to you, right? So, yeah. Have fun. Don't be shy to ask for help, because that's what the community is all about. and have fun playing the game. Thanks for watching.